I promised you a treat at the top of the hour. I want to play a video for you, and then I'm going to bring the gentleman in. But I just want to play this for you here, and you can see what I'm talking about. Stand by.
As I entered into my last year of high school, I questioned if the school district really prepared me for the real world. And I wanted to take some observations throughout the year about this. And I realized that the school district failed in many ways to prepare me for the real world through math, science, physical education, all around. I came up with the three biggest causes that I believe are leading to the downfall of America's youth and the decrease in the quality of our education: technology, societal norms, and bureaucracy. I worry about the lack of knowledge, social skills, problem solving, and human decency that I see among my peers. From top down, not just in this town, but in this country, we have a problem with school administrators. From the year 2000 to 2019, the number of direct administrators increased by 87%, while student enrollment only increased by 7%. How is this possible? New curriculum, new programs, just for them to be thrown out for even more programs just a few years later. We see this in our science department, led by Jenna Spiller, I guess. Our next generation science standards that we follow are a waste of time. We spend hours completing useless activities in middle school and early years of high school, spending hours doing summary tables, thinking about what did we learn here? Well, this is not kindergarten. We're not talking about fairies here, right? And then when we get to the real classes, like AP chemistry, AP physics, right? I see my peers, they're not prepared for advanced science classes. They're not prepared with the advanced math skills. Our math department, led by Ms. Kellogg and Ms. Freeman, is the most concerning department I've ever seen. Students lack the support that they need from their teachers. Teachers are cold and rude. The expectations are lower than ever. Over and over again, students are unable to effectively problem solve. This year, I watched a meeting where you guys reviewed the decision. And you said, quote, "There was a clear gap between our students of color and our white students, with the exception of Asian students." Lowering standards, folks, that's what it is. Private schools aren't doing this, right?
So I want to bring Mr. Gionfriddo in now, and we're going to talk about all this. Hey, I hope I didn't butcher your last name, Joe, but
no, that was perfect.
Look, Jackie Holman at the Connecticut Sentinel said, you got to have this guy on. What a great video, and, it gives people hope for the future. But tell us what's going on. I mean, what generated all this inside you? I mean, we heard what you said, but what else really bothered you?
Well, it's not just me. I think it's me, my peers, my teachers, parents. Everyone's quite frustrated with our education system today, especially in the public system. And we really need to reform it in some ways so that our kids are actually getting an education. Yeah. I see so many kids walking around and they're practically brain dead. Like they're just in their phones. That's all they do all day. And they're not learning and they're not thinking. And that's the biggest problem.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I see so many kids nowadays that are practically brain dead, right? Yeah. They're locked in on their phones, they're not learning, and they're not thinking, right? They can't problem solve. And it's not just technology that's led to this issue. So we have to think about, well, what's led to this? What certain policies have been put in place, right? And I think the biggest factor is definitely bureaucracy, right? We keep reinventing the wheel here, and especially administration. If you look at the growth of students versus teachers versus administrators, the administration chart it's crazy, right? Yeah. Compared to teachers and students. And so it's not just students that are frustrated, it's parents, it's people in the workforce that have to deal with these people as they enter the workforce, right?
Mhm.
It's going to lead to problems down the line. And I think over time, as we progress through time, we should be teaching our children more, right? As society learns more, we should teach them more. But instead, we're doing the exact opposite. We're going backwards. We're teaching them less. We're teaching them the easy way out. And that's not okay.
So you have a situation, what you're saying is that there's always constant, I remember Common Core, we're going to reteach you how to teach math. Like the last 1,000 years of teaching people how to do math wasn't right, so we have to redo it and then bring in a whole bureaucracy to teach this new program, and then that doesn't work, so we do it again and again and again. I mean, that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Exactly, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you have all these administrative positions that are being created, and don't get me wrong, we do need administrative positions. But when we create all these new jobs, these people have to do something all day. I don't know
Mhm.
what they're doing all day
Mhm.
besides ruining education. But they have to reinvent the whole system, like you said, Common Core, or in
Mhm.
science, it's the next generation science standards, right? And then after a couple years, because they have to keep their job, they have to reinvent the whole system again, and it's nothing ever sticks. It's just a bunch of baloney being put out there over and over again, and the cycle will repeat.
So what district are you in?
I'm in Newington.
Okay, so what do your friend circle say about all this? Do they see the same thing?
Absolutely. I mean, the support that I received after the video was
Mhm.
tremendous. I mean, people I haven't talked to and since elementary school were coming up to
Mhm.
me saying, "Man, Joe, like I really connected with you on that video. Like, great job." And then I think I went to that meeting 2 3 days before I graduated, and so we ended up doing like a walk around the elementary school, the middle school, and the support I received from teachers and staff all throughout the district. I think I received a message call from someone in every single building in the district. So,
So Connecticut has major issues, and I didn't say that earlier, but you're in Connecticut. But um, I think a lot of this is intentional. I think there is an effort to destroy education, but that's a whole big another issue. What are you going to do in your life to fix this issue? I mean, your video went viral, so everybody saw it. It made a big impact, and that's what they don't like. But how are you going to continue to fight this fight?
well, I think it's definitely a most multifaceted problem, right?
Hmm.
Honestly, although I spoke to my board of education, I don't think that that's where the big problem lies. I
Hmm.
think they're doing actually pretty decent work, but they're bogged down by the next level, right? From the state,
Hmm.
from the federal government.
Hmm.
There's certain regulations in place, and the Department of Education and whatnot, where people get forced to do certain things, and it has a domino effect all the way down the line, and you end up with these issues in your
Hmm.
local public schools.
What about your generation? There's been a lot of worry among us older folk, like the younger generation is not getting educated. They don't understand. They're turning leftist. They're turning socialist. What what's the truth? What do you see among your friends and the people you hang out with, and what do you see in your generation?
Well, I think that's two different things right there. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I certainly think we need to improve our education, but
Mhm.
as far as turning leftist or
Mhm.
whatnot, I think over the past 2 3 years we've seen a big change,
Mhm.
especially within today's youth, where people that I know, we're not just going to let things happen, right?
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
have common sense.
Mhm.
So maybe a lot of us lack problem solving skills, but we don't lack common sense. And so we're not going to stand for the ridiculous stuff that some people want to push, and certain ideologies and stuff that
Yeah.
they teach in school, right? We're
Yeah.
not going to stand for it. But
What about there's I think a big push against men and boys in general. Do you see your colleagues that you hang out with like looking to be more of a leader in their communities as historically the male side of the human race was in many factors. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, if as the Democratic Party over the last 10 years, if not
Mhm,
more, has been trying to push the idea that straight white men are always evil, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's not how you attract us as voters. And so
Yeah,
if you continuously push us away over and over again, don't be surprised when people who look like me and act like me maybe don't vote for you, right? So
yeah,
there's
yeah,
definitely been a big change. um, I don't know. I'm curious how they're gonna attract voters like me in the future. But yeah, of course, a young white man like me loves the thought of being strong and
uh-huh,
masculine, right?
yeah, good.
That's attractive to people like me. So yeah.
How are you being welcomed by the other side? Is the Republican Party reaching out to you, welcoming you, saying, "Hey, join us," or not?
Yeah, I do think so, especially on social media, right?
Mhm,
Especially since Elon bought X.
mhm,
There's definitely been a big push with content creators and whatnot welcoming certain groups of people, right?
mhm,
I just think that it's important. The other side will talk about toxic masculinity, right?
mhm.
And I think it's important to note that just because you're a straight white male, that doesn't mean you have all power over everything, right?
Yeah,
But you can still be a strong white man, right? And that's
mhm.
perfectly okay. But
Good for you. How do people follow you? Where do they stay up with what you're doing? I mean, you can really leverage this into a big impact on society. Where can people stay in touch?
well, I'm on X. I,
Mhm,
I really don't have a huge social presence. I just really want a better education for tomorrow's youth, right?
mhm, mhm,
I did a lot during my time in public school, right? Clubs, sports, field
mhm,
trips, protests, you
mhm,
name it, right? But I think not everyone is as much of a go-getter as I
mhm,
am. And that's
mhm.
not to toot my own horn, but when certain opportunities are not provided, you need to go out and seek them yourself. So that's about it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Joe, thank you for your time, man. Love to have you back if you get more developments. Just let Jackie know. I'm sure she'll keep you close and in the fold as she fights to save Connecticut. So thank you very much.
Thank you. The one last thing I do have to
Yeah.
say is I don't know if you seen what's going on with Mr. Terrence Chang.
No. What's that
Yeah,
about?
so especially in our higher education, right? The amount of administration has ballooned. It's crazy, right? And so we have a guy by the name of Terrence Chang, and he's the chancellor of the Connecticut State Colleges. Are you
Mhm.
familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
No. So he was the chancellor of all the state colleges, right? We paid him a whole load of cash to move from New York to Connecticut. We paid his moving fees. He never moved.
Wow.
On top of that, he was using state funds to get limousine rides, fancy dinners, right? And when he was called out about this in the media and he was called to hearings at the Capitol, Governor Lamont continued to support him.
Of course.
It's
That's
crazy.
the way they roll, man.
Yeah, the amount of money that's being wasted is just crazy, especially in education, right? I support fully funding schools, right? Because we need to educate our children, but we need to be fiscally responsible at the same time. And Mr. Chang, it's crazy. Finally, I believe he'll be leaving at the end of the month, but I don't know how can we continue to let this happen? It's crazy.
Well, you're right about the state issues. To be blunt, it's a Marxist infiltration of our state government that has to be rooted out in Connecticut, the Constitution state of all places, the cradle of liberty.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm sure Jackie knows about that story, but if she doesn't,
Yeah.
I'll let her know. But
We need new leadership at the GOP too.
oh yeah, that's a whole
Yep.
nother can of worms. Well, I
Not
think you have a bright
Anastasia Yap,
future.
but
I think you have a bright future there, my man. I think
I
you
don't
need to
know. We'll
get
see.
busy.
I'm an independent for now, but
All right, Joe. Thank you very
okay,
much.
I'll
Take
see you.
care.